Yeah. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Joy Reid Show. And we're back. We're back. We took a few days off for a little bit of R&R, a little bit of reset, a little bit of get our shit together so that we can come back stronger than ever. Thank y'all for being patient with us through our break. I'll just read a couple of the fabulous comments here on the YouTube side. Leslie Young says, hey, you're back. We miss you. We got a congratulations from Nikki Marks. I'm going to tell you what we're being congratulated for. It's joy. I'm joyful, says M. Robinson. We got Sky Blue giving me some actual love, saying that she just absolutely loves me. Happy Tuesday, Team TJRS. That's us talking to you guys. Sorry about that. We got lots of people who are saying that they're glad that we are back. Jeff wishes us happy birthday. And yes, it is our birthday. I will note one of our faves, Karen Stoops, it is her father's heavenly birthday, but also our earthly birthday right here on the Joy Reid Show. So yes, we turn one today. So big ups to everybody that is listening and has been riding with us on YouTube, on Substack, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on all the things. If you're listening on an audio podcast, it's also our birthday on your platform too. So wish us a happy birthday in purely audio form without us being able to see your avatar. So happy birthday to everybody. Big up to the Team TJRS team. All of our wonderful people, Ron and Niva and Wanji and Jason and Winsome and Miles and who am I forgetting? Sean, all the team, Adrienne, everybody that's been a part of this incredible journey, Cam, all the way far away in another continent. Thanks to everybody, Angela, one of our OG members. So all of the folks that have contributed to building up the show. If I missed your name, it's because I have menopause. But I wish everybody. Ron, did I mention Ron? I think I mentioned Ron. Near everybody. So anyway, thanks to everybody, and also John Holdridge, our stalwart behind the scenes back end pal. So thank you all, and Joanne, everybody that's helped us out. We appreciate everybody. Chelsea, everybody. If you know who you are, if you've contributed to making this show amazing a year from now. Jason, how you feeling on our 1 year birthday? Oh, Jason, he's not coming out. Jason's hiding today, but he's excited about it too. I just trust that he is excited. Oh, are you there?
I apologize. I'm just basically just sitting here in a
camera on. You're me.
No, I got it, but it's just basically here in a different location. Hi everybody, it's our birthday today. Happy anniversary. I'm just in a different location from you. See, I still have your name up on screen on my side. So that's because we're in different locations. Usually
there we go. I know you're
camera.
Not me.
You're usually on this camera. Yeah. Because this is supposed to be your camera. I'm here. If you see, I got the full screen. So the fact that I'm here by myself makes me know that I could have to scream if I need it. But
absolutely. So we didn't. We almost made it. Somebody's asked me, did we make it to our 500,000? We got very close. We are at what 460 plus. So we got very close. Now? We did not make our 30. So you
right now we're at 468.43.
460. So we're almost at 470. So look, if we didn't get to our birthday and it was because any of you did not send out to 10 different people that they should subscribe, then I think because it is our birthday, here's what you could do for us. Go ahead and send it to 10 people. Send that link out and make sure that everybody knows that the Joy Reid Show is here. Also on Substack, we peaked 200,000. I think we hit like 212,000. So we're still climbing. We are on our endless climb to 1 million subscribers on each platform. So we're just going to keep climbing. So we appreciate everybody who has been supportive. Thank you so much for being here. So we got a big show tonight. I'm going to get right to it because there's a lot to go over. One of the reasons that we didn't do a show yesterday is that two members of your favorite team TJRS team, meaning myself and Miles, we were at a certain basketball game that we need to talk about. We got to talk about it. And now before this particular basketball game took place, three people at least two people who I generally do not agree with on things, agreed with me about what could potentially mess up the vibe of this series, in which the Knicks, who have been on an historic run, I think they've won like 16 straight games. They were on an historic run. It has been since 1999 that the Knicks have been gotten this far into the playoffs, been in the finals. So since 99, and they have not won a ring. They have not gone all the way for like 50 years or something crazy. It's been an incredible run of a rebuilt, incredibly talented team. And there was only one thing that could mess up that vibe, and it is something orange. Listen to these people, some of whom I generally don't agree with, warning a certain orange person not to come and mess up the vibe in New York City. Play it.
Causes the New York Knicks to lose tonight. I'm blaming him. I'm blaming the president of the United States. I'm going to stay on that. I'm going to stay on that. And damn it, I hope the GOP lose votes because of it if we lose tonight. I'm going to be against them. All of them. All of them.
If anything might fuck it up, is Trump coming to the game. Trump's coming out. Secret Service is coming. He fucking up all the watch parties. He says no watch parties.
And people are going to blame you. People, if you think they hated Trump before, if he comes to this game and they lose, his presidency might be on the line in New York.
For him to go and pose at a game, all the real fans have to lose. Over 6,000 Knicks fans were expected to enjoy the moment and cheer together outside the mecca of MSG. And you know what? Boy, does this city need this right now. One of the best aspects of sport for a community is exactly what's happening here and exactly what the president is making impossible to happen. I saw some online backing the president by saying, you know, they should have just bought tickets if they wanted to go, in a very let them eat cake kind of way. This is where tonight's situation with Trump going to the game really goes from moment to metaphor. The reason the real fans can't get inside is because events like this are now a place for only the privileged few, not the true believers. Super rich Jim Dolan, Knick owner, could have made a classy move out of this. He could have rewarded the real ones and kept the ticket prices low, made them historically low for a historic run. For those of us who've watched his team suck for so many years, right? But no, he's doing what businesses do, going for the money. Tonight's ticket prices are the most expensive in NBA history, averaging over 10 grand a ticket. That's nearly 20 times more expensive than the tickets last week in San Antonio. And on top of that, here comes President Trump, taking away what little solace thousands of fans had, making an already bad situation worse because he put his own petty interests before those of the many.
Now, I see some of our wonderful Team TJRS people who are San Antonio fans folding their arms in the chat and being like, Knicks fans just trying to make an excuse. No, this is kind of an important thing. Thing one, and Jason, I skipped A1, but I'm gonna ask you to play it now. First of all, Donald Trump inviting himself to the game. Now, Tim Dolan, the billionaire that owns the Knicks and Madison Square Garden, one billionaire owns both those things, invited him to the game, okay? And Donald Trump accepted. Now, he could have said no, knowing that when you bring a presidential detail anywhere, whether it's Obama or Clinton or Trump or Biden, they come with an entourage and a security apparatus that shuts the entire city down. When President Obama would come and stay at a hotel in DC, from 6 blocks out, a radius of 6 blocks out, all around wherever he was staying, everything is shut down. You can't walk, you can't drive, you can't do anything, okay? And when Trump comes to Manhattan, which is a condensed but large but condensed city, Manhattan is condensed, it ruins traffic. It makes it impossible to be anywhere near Madison Square Garden, which happens to also be right next to the Amtrak train station, meaning if you're trying to get out of town, meaning if you're trying to take the train, anyone doing Metro North, you are completely inconvenienced. But most importantly, the fans who normally would have been outside of Madison Square Garden partying outside because of how expensive the tickets are, but they were able to gather outside of the garden and be together and watch the game at watch parties. All that was shut down because of him. So once Donald Trump announced he was coming, Jason, if you could play A1, this is how New York reacted to just the news that he was coming. Okay, you can leave it there. Thank you very much, Jason. And that is because New York really literally hates Donald Trump. Donald Trump did worse in Manhattan than he did in Vermont. Donald Trump's lowest numbers. Both the times he ran for president, all 3 times he's run for president, were in Manhattan. The degrees around that little tiny island, that part of New York City, is where Donald Trump has always done the worst. People in Manhattan despise Donald Trump. Although Donald Trump, since he was a young man growing up in Queens, has craved the acceptance and love of Manhattan. That's where he wanted to build his real estate empire. That is where he put Trump Tower. That is where he has purchased, gotten licenses to slap his name all over everything from a ice skating rink to multiple things that are called Trump Tower, whether he owns them or not. Donald Trump craves Manhattan. He craves Manhattan love and acceptance, but Manhattan does not return his love. Manhattan despises Donald Trump. They show it in the polls. They show it in the way that they treat him. Now, I shot some video outside of the venue, and this is when the arrival, when Donald Trump is pulling up to the venue. Meanwhile, you'll see the streets are deserted because, again, there were massive crowds that were all being funneled into the building through one little choke point while everything else had to be cleared for him. Take a look at this. This is A3 Jason. Sorry about that. That was actually Niva's video that she shot earlier showing the massive, crazy crowds. The video I have, I didn't load the right video, is just him getting booed. As his entourage is pulling up, people were just literally booing him because they had then, by that point, stood in line for hours. Hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. I think this is at A4, Jason, I believe.
Oh, wow. That's the beast. That's
You see some of his supporters try to chime in because people just started booing. Okay, but it got worse. It actually got worse once Donald Trump got inside. So, of course, you have the warm-ups, you have everybody sort of preparing for the game to start, and they sing and they do the national anthem. Now, Avery, I think his name is Avery Johnson. He is a very famous sort of Broadway star, is the person that was singing the national anthem. And so let's play a piece of when they start showing on the Jumbotron various people, and they showed Trump in that moment, and here's what happened. See, the reality is no one wanted him there except for Mr. Dolan, the owner of the Knicks. Nobody else wanted Trump there. He brought the entire vibe down. And it is not surprising that people are blaming him and saying that he brought his jinx energy to the game. And let me also note that Donald Trump, after having, I think he invited himself. I think he asked Mr. Dolan if he could come to the game, and he said, sure, come on and come, even though it was going to disrupt everyone else's enjoyment. It was going to end all the watch parties that were supposed to happen, all got canceled. Fans who would have been outside of MSG had to watch from Bryant Park, where they also booed him during when he was shown on screen during the national anthem, and where they were holding F Trump signs. It was all negative energy because people were not allowed to be there. It got so bad and so crowded, some people couldn't even get into Bryant Park, meaning 20,000 some New Yorkers, who would have been enjoying the game in various ways with, together in solidarity, couldn't do it. So let me also show you what Donald Trump did after having bully boyed his way into the game and made sure that he got to be present, where lots of people could not afford to be present because Chris Cuomo actually undersold what the price of the tickets were. I looked. The ticket prices reached $18,000 per ticket for the New York game and about $3,000 per ticket for the San Antonio games. This whole sport has become something only rich or connected people can enjoy. If you are not a wealthy person who already has season tickets, or if you are not a person that can afford an $18,000 ticket, or like me, if you had a friend that could help get you in, because I wanted our son to have the opportunity to experience it, because he was literally inside of me. He hadn't been born the last time that the Knicks were in a finals. And so it was nostalgic for him. He was literally an unborn fetus the last time this happened. He's a super duper Knicks fan. I'm like, I would love to share this experience and let him do it. It's almost impossible unless you know someone. And fair ain't fair, but if you don't know someone, or if you're not really, really rich, you ain't getting in. And this is what has happened to this game. This sport has become a bounty for the betting companies, because betting is now legal. These companies are making lots and lots of money. It's become a huge attraction for super wealthy people who own boxes that are, $12,000 a night. And it's not accessible to ordinary fans. And then to take that situation, it's not just Knicks fans, having bad apples, or Knicks fans, having sour grapes. Knicks fans were deprived of something really important, a game in which they were centered, in which being a Knicks fan is what was centered. What wound up being centered was Donald freaking Trump. And he ruined the vibe. And then on top of that, made it impossible for you to move through the city, inconvenienced everyone. And then on top of that, people were dealing with a sport that is no longer affordable for ordinary people. Let me play one more clip before we bring in our guest. Here are some fans who were asked, man on the street style, about Trump attending the game. This is A7 Jason.
Trump, this is all your fault. All this is your fault. We're supposed to enjoy this day. Now I gotta go around 10 blocks. Look at this. Look at this.
Watch out.
Thank you. I think it's ridiculous, and I think it's not fair, because the people need to be at the game, and this is turned into a luxury event, and I don't think it's fair. But I'm going, so I don't give a fuck.
Oh, yeah. And your message to Donald Trump?
Stay out of New York City.
Yeah, I feel like the tickets should be more accessible for, the diehard fans that actually want to go to the games, instead of just the celebrities or the upper class people.
This should have been a moment for the fans, and instead it's being made about the president. He should have either just came like a regular, fan, or just not come at all. Stay home. And don't be here for Game 4, please. God.
Not for real.
These are people who supported the team for the last, 53 years in some cases. And, the fact that a lot of them are priced out of the game and got to go watch in a park somewhere kind of sucks, It's unfair for one person to screw up their night for 20,000 New Yorkers. Should have stayed home.
I don't think that he should come to this game. I think he should watch it at the White House or at his house. Let the fans enjoy themselves without all this extra BS that's going on. I want to be able to watch the game at MSG, on the screens. There's way too much security right now. I don't agree with it.
You should have just stayed in D.C., bro. Why you here? Why you here?
Why you here? Why you here? The people didn't want you. New Yorkers hate you. You came in there maybe just because you wanted to make the game about you. I'm told through some good sources that Donald Trump planned to visit the locker room if the team won, to again make it about himself. There are stories that he has said that whoever wins in the end, and whoever becomes the NBA champion, he wants to present them the trophy. He wants to make everything about himself. This is a man who is building monuments to himself all over DC, who is changing the 250th anniversary of the United States into a giant birthday party for himself. He only cares about himself. He wants to build an Arc du Trump. He thought about renaming illegally the Gulf of Mexico, the Gulf of Trump, but then chose Gulf of America, which is also not its name. He's slapping his name on the Kennedy Center because he can't stand for John F. Kennedy to have something memorializing him. He is doing everything he can to turn this country into basically North Korea, and to make the whole country be about him. He can't even allow the people in his home city to enjoy the NBA championship without his disruptive, negative, jinxy presence. And so, yeah, there are some other issues that I'm definitely going to talk about with our guests coming up, including a lot of fouls that seemed a little foul in the game. And I know all of you Spurs fans don't want to hear it, but there was something foul about the game. But I think the first thing that was foul about the game was the presence of any president who would have disrupted the game. There was rumors that Mamdani was in the room, but there was no disruption for him to be there. And had he been there, he could have just come in with his security detail. They wouldn't have shut the whole damn place down for him. The reality is Donald Trump decided he wanted to not allow anyone but himself to enjoy it. And then, Jason, he didn't even stay awake. He didn't he didn't even stay awake for the game. Jason, this is A6. Can you pull A6, please? Joining me now is Bobby Childs, sports correspondent with 107.5 WBLS FM in New York City, formerly of 98.7 KISS FM. He has covered the Knicks since 1992 and also covers all the teams, football, baseball, and more. Bobby Childs, how you doing?
Good to be on, Joy, and happy anniversary. I understand it's your
Thank you very
anniversary
much.
from
Thank you.
That's right.
We're 1 year old today. We're going to be soon out of diapers and able to walk. It's coming. So,
Well, I think you're an early achiever. I think you're an early achiever. You came out a year ago sprinting, not crawling,
Yeah.
sprinting. So kudos to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So I played, those fans who were angry about Trump being there. And Jason, if you could put up A9, somebody you know very well, Nitha Khan, who brought us to you and used to work with you. She took this picture of 7th Avenue completely silenced and shut down. Just as a New Yorker who's covered the Knicks for a long time, your impressions of Donald Trump imposing himself on that moment.
Joy, as you said, I started with the legendary Bob Slade. I know we have a connection there.
Yes.
And when I started working for Slade at 98.7 KISS FM, that was like in 93, 92, 93. So I've been around the Garden for the good times and the bad times. Yesterday was the most uncomfortable coverage I ever had to do. To get into the Garden was just so ridiculous. And I understand the position of the president, but the long lines and what made it even more frustrating was the lack of coordination. So you have Secret Service, you have the FBI, you have the New York City Police Department, you have the NBA public relations team, you have the MSG workers there. And I felt bad for the NBA and the MSG and NYPD because they weren't getting clear direction. So there were lines and he said, stand here to get in, stand here to get your credential, go over here, go over there. You would stand there and then someone would say, no, you're in the wrong line. And this was before the game.
Yep.
Fast forward after the game, which was confusing to me because I had heard that he had left before the game started. But as I'm in the rotunda downstairs, waiting to get into the post-game press conference, they would not allow us to walk across the rotunda because that's where his vehicle was. And that was 10 minutes after the game. It was so confusing yesterday. And then the last thing that just got under my skin, we got this place. So, I've been covering for years and I get typical space there. They moved us to a different place to watch the game. And in our normal place was the White House press corps. They set up space for them. And I'm like, so is a war going to break out here? Like policy being written? So why did they need the space when they're on the other side of the arena from where he was sitting and he wasn't doing any kind of press conferences with them? So it was totally disruptive. That said, it had nothing to do with the game. No.
Right. I don't think it had anything to do with the game, but I think it set a vibe up. Once you hear people just, sort of lustily booing, at the Jumbotron when he came up, where we were sitting, the vibe just changed. Like people just were like, oh God, like why is he here? And also people were already frustrated, right? Because as you said, just getting to there, it took over an hour standing in lines. And then there was a VIP line that veered off. I was not in that line, by the way, y'all. I was in the regular people line, but in the VIP line, even that line was clogged up. And you had police having to basically act like they were the doorman at a club, trying to determine if you had the right VIP pass to get in the VIP line or shunting you off to the regular line, both of which were clogged and completely chaotic. I have to say, and let me get big up to the NYPD, because the cops could not have been more polite. They could not, this was the nicest I ever seen the police, to be honest with you. They were very polite, but you could see they were frustrated because they're trying to tell people that also, in addition to the people going to the game, how could you get people who wanted to get to travel to Moynihan Train Center? So people who actually had to get on a train were also funneled into these lines. And they're like, I need to get on a train. Can I get through here? And they're like, I'm sorry, no.
Yeah, it like I said, I have witnessed a lot of things, but the disruption for a basketball game was just beyond extra. I mean, they had blocked the streets at around 4:15, 8th Avenue between 30th and 34th Street, as well as 6th Avenue and 7th Avenue. So you had this big area, big busy area during rush hour. So to your point, people try and just not even go to the game, but to commute to get home through Penn Station, Monahan Station. It was just chaotic.
Yeah.
And the 2 seconds left, maybe it may have been 2 seconds when they flashed him on the big screen during the national anthem. There were boos. There were a lot more boos than cheers during that point. And then they quickly moved the camera off of him.
They did. And they showed every other celebrity, which is another piece of it, right? Because you've been covering the Knicks for a long time. I remember back in the day when you could get tickets and, we went to Knicks games and you could go and you could afford it. It's become so unaffordable. I looked it up just for fun to see how much the tickets would be to get into the finals. And the top price was $18,000. And I will note, and one of the reasons that there are conspiracy theories about whether the refs tried to extend the game, which we're going to get into in a minute, is the disparity in ticket prices between the Spurs games in Texas and the New York games, right? We're talking about 3 times the price, but I'm sure those prices in Texas are about to go up now that they're coming back there. But can you talk about like the impact of the sort of celebrity culture around the games and the expense of the games? What impact is that having on fans?
Yeah, so let me do it in reverse, right? And talk about the ticket prices, right? And so quick history around it. All the major sports, NFL, Major League Baseball, NBA, the owners years ago were complaining because they felt that they were losing money, which that's a stretch, right? They weren't losing money. They set the price for the ticket. They would put the ticket on the market, they would sell it. What was happening, however, were brokers and resellers. And so in simple economics, supply and demand, if all of a sudden the ticket price got hot or the event was hot, if you spent $100 for it, now someone can resell it for $300. And those owners were saying, I just missed out on an extra $200. So they ended up cutting deals with Ticketmaster, SeatGeek, and all these others, and they allow fans to resell. So what you're seeing is the effect of supply and demand because it's a hot ticket. But it's New York. The celebrities drive that. San Antonio, no offense to them, they don't have that type of demand, and the marketplace can't sustain $18,000 ticket. And we saw that same thing in Philadelphia when the Knicks played Philadelphia, and the same thing in Cleveland, right? Tickets prices went up, but many New Yorkers said it's cheaper for me to go to those cities, get a hotel, pay for my air, and get tickets to the game. It's cheaper than watching it at home.
And the other way that people were ameliorating that cost is people were watching the games at Madison Square Garden, but outside. Miles, who I took, he'd been there doing that. Like you go and you hang out outside, then you're a part of the crowd, you're a part of the vibe. Not having that last night, I feel was such a loss for New Yorkers.
Yeah, but the thing we know about New York is they're resilient. And so if you tell me no, I can't be there, then I'm gonna go create it somewhere else. And throughout the city, people just had these pop-up watch parties. I saw in Spanish Harlem, someone had a monitor in the back of their SUV, and they pull up the folding chairs with their cervezas, and they're sitting on outside watching it in the Walmart Rink up in Brooklyn. Over the weekend, I was talking to a couple of restaurant bar owners, and they were loving it because it has increased revenue for the city. All these parties that are out there. So yeah, I know the Mayor Mondami would love to have it go a little longer with New York winning because it helps the revenues of New York City, but it has been a financial windfall for the city right now.
Yeah. And you know what Donald Trump wanted, Jason, if you could just pop up here, A10. This is what I'm sorry, Trump. What Trump wants desperately is to be this guy. He wishes he was him. And instead, Jason, you can play A11. He is him. So basically, he wants to be Obama so badly. The boos are even worse when he left. But I wanted to get off Trump for just a moment. Let's talk about this game for a minute. Now, I have been going back and forth with some group chat friends about whether or not it felt like the officiating was not normal. Max Kellerman seems to agree with me. There are a lot of commentators that are talking about the officiating at the game, in which it seemed like one side kept getting fouls called on them and the other did not. But I want you to listen to the coach of the New York Knicks, Mike Brown, who actually has now joined this conversation. Jason, this is A12.
Make sure I get something clear. Coach Mitch Johnson and the Spurs, they won the game tonight. They came and took the game. But I will say this, I never thought I'd be in the NBA Finals and see a team get 24 free throw attempts in the second half to another team's 8. And I don't think I complain much about officials or the fairness when it comes to the free throw attempts. San Antonio is a great team. They're a great team. Okay? It's going to lower our odds big time if we play game 4 and in the second half they get 24 free throw attempts to our 8. And maybe we were fouling, but they fouled too.
I mean, 24 times 2 is 48. You know what I mean? So you're talking about 24 to 48 points on the board from the free throw line. I'm sorry, inside the room, I can tell you everyone around us, everyone sitting around us was looking around like something just ain't right, to quote the old Keith Sweat song. When you looked at that officiating, what did you make of it?
So sitting there in the post game with Mike Brown once Trump left, we can actually do some regular reporting. I like the way he framed it because that's not why they lost the game. They lost the game because San Antonio was much more physical. And their physicality, there's a difference in physicality. The Knicks play physical, San Antonio plays physical. San Antonio's physicality is in denying the ball and getting in passing lanes. And that causes so much disruption where the Knicks could not run their offense. The Knicks' physicality, which resulted in fouls, were when San Antonio were taking shots, Knicks were hitting them on their arms and their elbows. And so that's what led to San Antonio getting so many more points off of free throws versus when the Knicks got fouled, it was not in the act of shooting. So they didn't get it out there. So, that was the case. Now, coaches historically always tell referees when they're upset. Phil Jackson of the Chicago Bulls and the Lakers was known to do this all the time. And then the next game is sort of balanced out. But there was some. But that being said, there were some calls that were blatantly missed last night that the NBA has to review. Wembanyama got away with 2, which as we sat there, it's like those are flagrant fouls. How did I call it? One, he just mugged and mauled and pushed Jalen Brunson in the head down to the ground. And another one, Josh Hart hit a 3-pointer, and Wemby's foot went underneath Josh Hart. Josh Hart landed on his foot. Now, they called that same foul on Jalen Brunson with Champagnie, and Jalen's foot didn't go underneath Champagnie, but they called it a reckless act. So they review that. Now, the thing about this review, Wemby has picked up flagrant fouls. If he picks up, I think it's 2 more flagrant fouls, he'll be suspended. The question now is, you look at those 2, that would cause him to be suspended. Would the NBA suspend him in the finals? I don't think so.
Nope. They wouldn't. And the other piece of it is, and this is the thing I think that gets a lot of people, and big enough to all of my Spurs fans in the audience. We see you, Karen Stokes. We see you out there being a Spurs fan. We see all you friends out there. But the reality is, what's best for the league, Bobby Childs, is a 6 or 7 game series. What's best for them financially. A sweep is less good because it's less revenue. If this series had ended in New York and did not go back to San Antonio, it's less revenue, not just for the league, but for all of the betting companies that are in this business. Because I know going into it, everyone had said the Spurs were going to take it. And so their betting companies have money on the line. The revenue for TV was already baked in because this was already, these contracts are already done. But if you think about it, what the league fundamentally wants is for the game, for the series to be extended. And to me, the thing that made it even more suspicious than those obvious calls, I mean, there were instances where Wemby or other members of the Spurs were literally flinging Knicks to the ground, and then the Knick would get the foul called on them. It's them that then had committed the foul. There was one instance in which one of the Spurs shoved one of the Knicks into one of the Spurs, and then the foul was called on the Knicks. I'm like, what is happening here? And I think when people see that, everyone around us, we were looking around like, yo, something's up, because we know that the league wants this series to go longer. Is that a valid fear that that something in the milk ain't clean, as one of our commenters just said?
Well, this has been age-old conspiracy where, and it's a fact what you said, which is the league makes more money when it goes 6 or 7 games. That's a fact. Whether or not they try to manipulate it, there's never been any hard evidence, but your eyeballs tell you what you see. That play you talked about was the Spurs' Keldon Johnson actually pushed Mitchell Robinson in the back as Wemby was hitting a 3. They called the foul on Mitchell Robinson, as you called it. It caused New York to have to challenge. And thankfully they won the challenge, because when you looked on the replay, they're like, yeah, he got pushed in the back out there. But those 3 referees missed it in real time, while everybody in the arena, including you, Joy Reid, you saw it. Like, what was that? So yeah, there are some questionable calls. I'm not going to go off on the refs, but Mark Jones, one of the refs there, Mark Davis, he's been involved in some controversial calls throughout his career, and he's a long time good referee, but there's certain calls he makes that just like, that's a head scratcher.
I literally was waiting for those refs to put on a Spurs jersey and keep it and make it more obvious, because it couldn't have been more obvious unless they put a Spurs jersey on. It was something real odd about it. And we're going to see, I think one of the things that the coach did, I think that is effective, and I don't know if you'll agree or disagree with this, but calling it out, whether it's a legitimate thing or just a vibe or a feeling you have, is a way to put those refs on notice for this next game. In game 4, if they still referee this way, then people are really going to think that there's something wrong. They need to change, because I remember back in the day, I used to feel like Michael Jordan got calls he didn't deserve, that he could get away with things because everyone was kind of taking a step back and letting him play. What I would love is for the refs to just let them play. calling all these fouls, calling everything. It just, to me, it slowed the game down. And I think it contributed psychologically to the Knicks loss. I think it psyched them out. You can't play that hard if you think everything you're doing is going to get called. So I think it impacted their game. I'm just saying. That's just my opinion.
It definitely wears on it, right? And you referenced, as I mentioned before, Phil Jackson when he was the head coach of the Bulls with Michael Jordan. That was what he intentionally did. And it used to frustrate former Knick head coach Jeff Van Gundy back in the day. And Van Gundy would call it out and just say, "What, you can't even breathe on Jordan out there without a foul being called." So there is gamemanship that Mike Brown, and he's been around for a long time. He learned underneath Steve Kerr when they won championships. He's been under Greg Popovich of the Spurs. So it's gamemanship what he did. And so he's going to look to see him get more balance. But that being said, when they look at the film, they're going to see that they have to stop reaching and they cannot stick their arms in there and commit those fouls. But the physicality, the Spurs, the last thing I'll say on physicality, and it goes back to something the Detroit Pistons used to do. And their philosophy was the refs are not going to call every foul. So be as physical, hit them, because you'll get away with more contact than you will fouls, because the referees don't want to stop the flow of the game unless you do something egregious. And that's what I see the Spurs are doing. They are uber physical with the Knicks, to the point where Jalen Brunson is having one of the most inefficient series I've seen. While he scored 82 points in these 3 games, he has done it on 81 shots. That is inefficient. And he has 13 assists and 13 turnovers. That's inefficient.
Bobby Childs, you can come back anytime. This was really fun. Please come back often. I will know my way of trivia. You know, I love a good little historical trivia. Phil Jackson, the legendary coach of the Chicago Bulls, was part of the championship New York Knicks teams in 1970 and 1973. So he's both an enemy,
your history well. You know
and
your
a
history.
friend. Thank you so much. I appreciate
You know your history. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Anytime. Thank you much. Happy anniversary again.
Thank you. Thank you. And we'll take a happy anniversary any old time. So yes, you know, we're going to always get a little history in here, because that is what we do on the Joy Reid Show. So go Knicks. We love y'all, all y'all Spurs fans. We still love you.
Hey, Joy, before you read the ads, right? Yes. I have to kind of, yeah, we should just basically go, because, you know, we're diehard Knicks fans. You know, we're diehard Knicks fans, but, you know, we got to give it let it rest. Let's see how game 4 goes. Let it go. Let it go, because,
Coco
you know.
Burnett said I'm salty.
I mean, I get it. You know, I understand the fire. We have been diehard Knicks fans forever, but you know what? It's basically a team sport, and, you know, Bronson needs to step it up. But at the end of the day, I get it. You know, let's see how game 4 works. But let's go Knicks, and the Spurs plays well. Let's not diss the Spurs. I give them credit.
I like Wemby. I actually like him.
Yeah, but Wemby's foul. I seen the push, but you know what? At the end of the day, if they didn't win this game last night, it would have been a demoralizing defeat for them. So I understand the physicality of the game. I'm fine with them being demoralized. But the refs need to be fair. So I'm going to be fair. They need to be fair. But let's just say the Spurs played a great game last night. The Knicks, I'm a diehard Knicks fan, and I'm calling as I said. But the Spurs played well last night. The Knicks need to step it up and win this in 5. Well, my brother-in-law says it's going to be winning 6, because, you know, let's see what happens. But
we'll see what happens. But
let's say, you know, let's just, for the sport itself and for the camaraderie it brings for everybody, let's just say, including in our fan list, right? I'm seeing the comments also. Let's just stay. We love y'all. Don't unsubscribe. Don't, because of Joy is a
Jason said, don't
hated ad. Don't go no further than that, woman. Leave it alone now. All right, let's do the show. Leave it alone now. Okay. All right. Love y'all. Let's get back to the show.
Let it go. All right. Let me just go ahead and walk away. I'm gonna walk away. I'm gonna go ahead and walk away, and I'm gonna tell you all that we in this wonderful show, and we could not have gotten to 1 year without our wonderful advertisers. And the Joy Reid Show on tonight is brought to you by our friends at bookshop.com. Now, would you be surprised to learn that we are living in a resurgence of independent bookstores? More than 1,000 new stores have opened up in just the last 5 years. Independent bookstores do more than just sell books. They take care of and pour back into their communities, creating safe spaces that foster culture and curiosity and a love of reading. When you purchase from bookshop.org, you are supporting more than 3,000 independent bookstores so that they can continue their essential work. Now, lately, I, myself, have been reading the book Real by Kennedy Ryan, which is part of our book club over at Read This, Read That. If you want to pick up a copy for yourself, you can go to bookshop.org. If you want to join us and read along, it is my favorite new little summer read. If you want to join and get yourself a book, because books are so important, go use code JOY and get 10% off your next order at bookshop.org. That is 10% off at bookshop.org with code JOY. Okay, so I want you all to take a look. We're going to move on from sports. We're going to talk about politics. And this is something I really wanted to dig into. I want to show you guys the 2026 primary calendar and the races that are still coming up this year. So just if you could pop that up. So there it is. It's you got to kind of squint, but you'll see that there are key races that are taking place in June, July, and August. This summer is going to be a voting summer. It's being declared Freedom Summer by a lot of voting rights activists, particularly due to the shenanigans of the January 6th Supreme Court, the insurrectionist court, and the insurrectionist Calais decision that it rendered, which was literally brought by an insurrectionist. Okay, so I want to focus on a couple of different states. Let's start with the state of Maryland. Let me play you an ad from one of the candidates, one of like about 6 candidates that are running, named Adrian Boafo. Take a look.
To unmask ICE and keep Trump's ICE agents out of our police departments. Now, Adrian Boafo is running for Congress to take the fight to Donald Trump. Just look who's supporting him. Governor Wes Moore, Senator Angela Alsobrooks, Congressman Steny Hoyer, and Maryland's teachers. Because he has what it takes to fight for lower costs, be a voice for our communities, and take on Trump. Adrian Boafo for Congress. UDP is responsible for the content of this ad.
So I'm sure you guys have seen those ads. If you live anywhere near Maryland, you have seen just 80 million, thousand, bazillion of those ads. They are literally kind of everywhere. And he is online, he's on digital, he's on Facebook, he's everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. But here's the challenge with me for Adrian Boafo, who we have invited on this show. He has not accepted our invitation as yet. Adrian Boafo is AIPAC's candidate. Full stop. They dressed up their support in a group that is AIPAC, but doesn't call itself AIPAC. They used that other organization, and they use other issues like keeping ICE out of our police departments and standing up to Donald Trump. They use that as the cover, but who they are groups that are fundamentally about supporting Israel and the U.S. continuing to fund Israel. And that is who mainly supports him. The other big group that supports Adrian Boafo are the crypto industry. So you've got the crypto industry, big time supporters of his, and AIPAC by another name being the other big time supporter of his. They are who are pouring the millions of dollars that Adrian Boafo is spending to advertise in Maryland to beat out the 80,000 other candidates that are running. Here is one of the other candidates who is also running. Her name is Adrian. Her name is Baribe. And Ms. Baribe, I think you pronounce it Baribe, she has issued an ad in which she is going after Adrian Boafo for his ties. Take a look. This is B3.
Boafo lobbies for Oracle and their data centers. Data centers are noisy, hike electricity rates, and divert water resources. Boafo's campaign is backed by over $4 million from Oracle, AIPAC, and the crypto industry. Quincy Berebe opposes special interests buying elections. Boafo is backed by pro-Israel groups who support Trump's war in Iran. Quincy Berebe opposes the Iran war. Quincy Berebe is for us. Adrian Boafo is not.
I'm Quincy Berebe, candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
So Quincy Berebe, sorry, I got her first name wrong, is one of like 20 different people that are running. It's a ridiculously long list of people that are running for that seat. Initially, 22 people ran for that seat. And Adrian Boafo is one of the 23. He is also a member of the state legislature who has been a big supporter of the governor's agenda, which is reportedly why he got the endorsement. Also running in that race, and we did a forum on this very show to talk to some of the candidates, including former police officer Harry Dunn, who was a Capitol Police officer hero during the January 6th insurrection. And so, he to me is probably the best known candidate. There are also other candidates, including the some that we have had on that we've shown on this show. But to me, the most problematic of the candidates that are running is Adrian Boafo, because his ties to AIPAC are being hidden and they're being shaded by the fact that they are running those ads under different names. I'm trying to pull up the full list of all these candidates. And it is a problem, at least for me, that somebody like Adrian Boafo is running sort of as a crypto AIPAC candidate without naming actual endorsers. The danger, of course, is that not only is he running as a secret AIPAC candidate, but so many other people are running that all he needs to do is clear like about 20% of the vote, and he will be the nominee. And that means that in November, that voters in Congressional District 5 to replace Steny Hoyer will be faced with two choices: a pro-AIPAC candidate on the Republican ticket and a pro-AIPAC candidate on the Democratic ticket. That is AIPAC's game now. What they have decided is that they can't win on the direct issue of supporting Israel because they know that is incredibly unpopular. They know that Israel is incredibly unpopular. It's the most unpopular country in the world at this moment, including among Americans, including among MAGA and Democrats alike. And so what they're doing is they're pouring money into primary campaigns so that they can have a they win either way option in November. So that no matter whether the D or the R wins, they get their way in Washington when Adrian Boafo dutifully goes to Washington and votes to continue funding Israel with unlimited American money. And that is what he will do. It is what happened when Cori Bush lost to an AIPAC candidate who was funded in record levels in Missouri. They poured money into it knowing that whoever the Democrat was likely to get elected in that district. And now they have a reliable vote for whatever Israel wants. And then he could be good on other issues. He may vote your way on certain things, but he will never vote against Israel. We would love Adrian Boafo to come on and answer this. He has not accepted our invitation, but we know exactly what AIPAC by another name is doing in this race. And the fact that he was able to get a United States senator and he was able to get the governor to go along and endorse him does not change what it is that he is doing. It doesn't change who it is that he is and who he's representing. Jason, if you could put up B4, this is some of the polling. Now, this poll was put out by an organization that supports him, and it shows Adrian Boafo getting 17% of the vote. Rushern Baker, who actually came out of retirement, he's a state senator who came out of retirement to jump into this race because he didn't trust Adrian Boafo. He is sitting, at least according to this poll, at 10%. You then have Quincy Berebe, who I just showed you. Her ad is sitting at about 10%. There's a woman named Walla Bligay, who is the most progressive candidate. She is supported by the most progressive organizations because she is staunchly anti-AIPAC and anti-funding Israel. And Harry Dunn, who is also staunchly anti-AIPAC, anti-big money in politics, and who is the most well-known person in the race because of his heroism during January 6th. A guy named Harry Jaron, who we had on, a Jewish candidate. He's at 1%, but he's also anti-AIPAC. So, of course, AIPAC would never support him because even though he's Jewish, he's not for AIPAC. And then you've got 43% undecided, but that 43% is what you need to pay attention to. Most people in this race have not made up their minds, and getting the endorsements of the Senator Also Brooks, and of the governor is how Adrian Boafo is hoping to break out, along with that massive amount of money that AIPAC is spending to try to fool Democratic voters into voting for Adrian Boafo, thinking that they're getting a Wes Moore candidate and not an AIPAC candidate. But what he is, to be very clear, is an AIPAC candidate. This sly game that they are playing all over the country is working. It is working because no one's saying anything about it, except some people are saying something about it. Chris Van Hollen, if you could put up B5, Jason. Chris Van Hollen has decided that he's had enough of this shit. The other United States senator, not also Brooks, the other United States senator, Chris Van Hollen, has called this out. He went on X Twitter and he posted, "Hello, let me let y'all know what's happening. He called out the outside groups who are spending millions of dollars to support Adrian Boafo in this House race to succeed Steny Hoyer. I will note that Steny Hoyer is one of the biggest recipients of AIPAC money in Congress. He says, quote, as of today, they have spent $4.5 million in support of one candidate. The two big players in this district are AIPAC and the crypto industry. Voters have to understand these groups are not investing in this race out of charity. Big ups to Chris Van Hollen, who we also would love to have on the show. We're trying to work that out because he is one of the few Democrats who is willing to call out AIPAC in this way. Most Democrats are so beholden to AIPAC, they won't even mention what they know is happening, that this organization, this entity that supports a foreign government, which is actively committing genocide in now 2 countries, not just in Gaza, not just in Palestine, but also in Lebanon. They are committing a second genocide using our tax dollars. They are an experiment in all of our weapons industry. They test all the weapons against those children in those 2 countries. And we recently had the Defense Intelligence Agency point out that they're spying on us. Israel spying on us has ratcheted up to dangerous levels. And in addition to that, Congressman Massey out of Kentucky is warning that this new bill to effectively fuse our military and Israel's military, giving them first-class access to all of our defense intelligence infrastructure, that is going through Congress right now. And if you want to criticize Republicans for likely voting to do that, you need to note that there are a lot of Democrats who will vote for it too. Why? Because they are AIPAC candidates. Let's go to Florida. Uncle Luke, Luther Campbell, who is one of, again, multiple candidates running in this race to fill the seat held by Congressman Sheriffless McCormick, who had to resign her seat because of an ethics investigation because she's being investigated by the Justice Department for alleged crimes or fraud, etc. He went on Victor Blackwell's show on CNN, as he has been on this show, to talk about the fact that in that race, multiple candidates are running, including Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who does not live in Florida District 20. She lives in Florida District 25. But when the Florida Republican Party redistricted, gerrymandered the state illegally against their constitution, she decided it would be easier to run in the black seat, to run for the seat that was formerly held by Alcee Hastings, because it's an easier race for her because it's a D+20 seat rather than stay in her district, which is now an R+7, which again is winnable for a Democrat. She could win there, but she's decided she'd rather switch seats and run for the easier seat among the Black Democrats in Broward County. And she made this announcement using a, Barack Obama in the background. Apparently they didn't even get along, but she's using the image of Barack Obama to try to tie this over. She's got no support from the Congressional Black Caucus, but the caucus refuses to actively stop her from literally doing what we are marching and what we are calling out Republicans for doing. We're mad at Republicans for stealing the seats of Black Democrats, and now here's a Democrat doing it. And you know who her big supporter is too? AIPAC. Let's play Uncle Luke.
No, she has not one individual supporting her from the Congressional Black Caucus.
And let me ask you about the Congressional Black Caucus.
People in this district that's supporting her. People hate her.
Because you went pretty hard on the Congressional Black Caucus on a recent podcast. Let me play what you said about the CBC.
In the same way they jumped out there talking about the Republicans who are taking African-American representation, they should be jumping out there with the same conviction with a member of their own party, which is Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and going at her the same way that they're going after the Republicans, because you can't be hypocritical in this moment. You can't be like, oh, she's blue, so we can't go after her. No, she's white, and we could go after her.
What do you want to see from the CBC that you're not?
I want to see the CBC stand down, put down on her. I mean, what we say in the community, I want to see them put down on her. I want to see Hakeem Jeffrey stand up to her. But we know it's a political game, because the CBC feels like if they put down on her, then Hakeem Jeffrey may somehow upset the Dixiecrats that are still in the Democratic Party. Because let's keep in mind, we have not been suffering as a people. Black men have not been sitting at home in elections because we feel so comfortable about the Democratic Party. This is the moment where we make the decision as African Americans, do we continue supporting status quo within the Democratic Party, or do we stand up? And that's why Broward County is ground zero to that. And I expect this CBC to stand up. I expect Leader Hakeem Jeffrey to stand up to her and say no. And then I expect her white counterparts to say no, because you can't just figure out, Debbie, you can't just go in and you and Jared Moskowitz get in a room and say, Jared, I'm not going to run against you, but I'm not going to run back for re-election, but I'm going to go over there into the black district because I know the black candidates don't have as much money as I have because I got $15 million in my PAC. I got $33 million in a slush fund, and I can go in there and take their seat. No, Alcee Hastings is rolling over in his grave right now. Rolling over in his grave right now because this is happening right now, but not on my watch, Vic. I'm telling you, Vic, she's dealing with a hurricane, a real hurricane, Category 5, and my name is Luther Campbell, and that's the hurricane she's dealing with, because I'm not going to sit by and allow this woman to come carpetbag into our community and do the exact same thing that the Republicans are doing. And I have a real serious problem with that. Look, if it's head to head, we're going to do it. If it's not head to head, I mean, we still going to get it done, because I have faith in white, black, Hispanic people in this district, and they're going to do the right thing. They're going to look at this woman for what she really is, and they're going to vote for me.
Luther Campbell, thank you very much for being on the show. Now, we did reach out to Congress.
And he's saying they reached out to Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz. We have too. And she's also welcome to come on the show. She and Adrian Boafo, you're both welcome to come on here and explain to this audience why it is that, in your case, Adrian Boafo, a candidate funded by the crypto industry, which is not helping us in our communities, and by an APAC clone industry, should defeat candidates who are actually primarily interested in what local people in District 5 need. That is who should be running. Somebody who cares about what's happening in District 5. If you are going to be puppeteered by an organization whose primary interest is a foreign country, I don't think that you're a good candidate for this office. And in the case of Florida District 20, Debbie Wasserman Schultz should explain to Black Americans, to Black Floridians, to Black people in Broward County, why it is that rather than fight for her district where she lives and where she is governed, she's decided to take the easier way out by coming in and, to Luther Campbell's point, carpetbagging into a district which was held by Alcee Hastings, somebody that I knew. And I can tell you that if Alcee Hastings was still kicking, he would be kicking bricks at this. He would be enraged at the idea that Debbie Wasserman Schultz is leaving her district to come into his district to try to take this seat because she thinks it's easy because Sheila Sherfless McCormick has legal issues. So you think because Sheila Sherfless McCormick is vulnerable, you can steal that seat. How is that different from what Republicans are doing? Why are we protesting Republicans for snatching seats from Black Democrats in the South when Democrats are doing it too? And I will add to what Luther Campbell said about the Congressional Black Caucus and about Democratic leadership. This protection of incumbents, which is behind why they will not go to Debbie Wasserman Schultz and have a sit down with her and say, you can't do this because she's an incumbent. Well, she's not an incumbent in Florida District 20. She's an incumbent in Florida District 25. Tell her to go run for her seat for re-election where she lives. That is the right thing to do. It is the right thing for the Congressional Black Caucus to demand of her. It is the right thing for the Democratic Party to demand of her. And if they don't, they need to explain to us, why are we out here marching to preserve the seats of Black Democrats when Black Democrats won't do it? Because they're all going to allow Debbie Wasserman Schultz to take this seat. And I will also give a message very briefly to Sheila Sherfless McCormick. Sheila Sherfless McCormick has represented this seat, but had to resign because she was going to be run out of Congress on an ethics investigation. I watched an interview that she gave on a local network in Florida, and I feel for her. I 100% believe her when she says that she is being targeted by this Injustice Department. We know that they are foul. We know that they are full of crap. And we know that they are targeting particularly African Americans with bullshit indictments and bullshit cases against them. But the reality is, it is very likely, Miss Sheila, that you are going to be in court fighting for your life in January and not free to really focus on your district. the likelihood is that if these people, the new regime at the Injustice Department is even worse than the original one, than Pamela Joe. And if they decide they want to focus on you, and they will, because if they're able to then get you out of Congress and make you have to resign again, there will be a special election in that seat. And you can best believe the Republicans will be preparing a Republican to take that seat. In that race, in addition to Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Sheila Shurfluss McCormick, are some people who, in my opinion, cannot win. Because this is one of those races where it's going to take passion to get you over the line. There's a gentleman named Dale Holness who used to be the mayor of Broward County. Okay, people may know who he is. Watched him do an interview and literally almost fell asleep. Not an exciting candidate. Is that going to ignite people to be so passionate to stop Debbie Wasserman Schultz from taking this seat that they come out of their houses and get off the couch for him? I don't see it. There's someone named Elijah Manley who seems like a brilliant young man, but I don't think people really know who he is. He's very young. And there's Luther Campbell, Uncle Luke. There's another person named Maisha Williams, who I'm not sure who that is. There's Luther Campbell, who people know, who has a track record and a history in South Florida, who has literally taken young men off the streets and through football, given them a chance and hope in life. People may not love his lyrics, but those lyrics have made him create an empire that has benefited literally financially individual Black people in South Florida. They can say that I look to his football program to try to make my way, or his music company helped me make my way. He at least has that he can say that he's done for the people in that district. So if it's down to him or a congresswoman who's likely to be indicted and likely to be in court fighting for her life, and Debbie Wasserman Schultz, I think the answer is clear. To me, if I were living in Florida District 20, it would be Luther Campbell all the way for me, because I would be saying, who can ignite people off the couch and get them to come in and vote? Who can rouse people and who's been speaking out loudest for our community? And who could actually get people off the couch to come and stop Debbie Wasserman Schultz from stealing that seat? That would be my choice. And I think the same thing has to happen in Florida, in Maryland's District 5, where the number of people running is so long. I don't even know if I can get through all the names, but we had Jerry Lightfoot on our show. We had a few of these candidates on. We couldn't even get them all on because there's like 20 of them running. There's so many of them running. Walla Blagay, we did not have on Rusher and Baker, all of these different people. They're all running. And all that Adrian Bawafo needs is that number, that large number of people for him to slide right on through, because he's the one with 4.6 million AIPAC dollars. We know we love Harry Dunn on this show because I think he has sacrificed the most when it comes to sacrificing for the community. He has sacrificed the most. He's the one who showed he's willing to put his physical body on the line for the people, not just of that district, but for the state. That would be who I would vote for if that were my choice. So these are my recommendations. You do not have to take them. You can vote for anybody you want, but I would please ask, if you're in those districts, do not let those two AIPAC candidates slip through. That is just what I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it there. That is my rant for the day. I was going to talk about this race in Maine, which is insane, where people are all pissed off because the person that's now the sort of lead candidate is, I guess, terrible, but they're all terrible. So, I mean, the Republicans are all terrible. So whatever, just vote for him or whatever. Do whatever you got to do in Maine. We'll come back. We'll do Maine another day. Welcome to hour 2 of the Joy Reid Show and my completely long rant. Do be sure to hit like and subscribe. Forgot to say that. Hit like and subscribe. And please also hit the little bell, which will give you a notification whenever we are live. Like today was an unusual show. It was not our normal show, but it is our birthday, so we're coming on anyway. But hit the little notification, then hit all, so that you can always be informed of when we are going to go live. I will also note that this hour of the show is brought to you by our friends at the Wild Alaskan Company. Now, what is your favorite type of fish? Lately, mine has been Pacific cod. And where better to get it than from our sponsor, Wild Alaskan Company? Why settle for overpriced fish from the grocery store when you could have delicious fish that is individually portioned, vacuum sealed for you, easy to prep, and great for any meal, no matter how quick or elevated? All of the fish is quick frozen, fresh from the Alaskan waters, which helps lock in the freshness, the texture, the flavor, and key nutrients like omega-3s, with no GMOs, no antibiotics, or other additives. Every order supports sustainable harvesting practices and Alaskan fishermen whose history is tied to the region and the practice. Now, I love knowing that I can prepare a fabulous fishy dinner with no hassle and no fuss. And if you would like to join me, go to wildalaskan.com/joy for $35 off your first order of premium wild-caught seafood. That is wildalaskan.com/joy for $35 off Your first order. That's a good deal. And this fish is delicious. Thank you, Wild Alaskan Company, for sponsoring this episode. All right, so moving on. So Barry Weiss, our good old friend Barry, is getting a promotion, apparently. Here's the headline from Raw Story. Paramount has begun preliminary conversations with several top media executives about a business side counterpart to Weiss, the CBS News editor-in-chief, as the company awaits regulatory approval of its proposed merger with Warner Brothers Discovery, according to two sources who spoke to Axios. The search implies that if Paramount Skydance's deal with Warner Brothers Discovery goes through, Weiss could oversee all news editorial across both CBS News and CNN, Axios reported. Her potential counterpart would manage business operations across both companies. Among the candidates under consideration are someone I know quite well, NBC Universal News Group Chairman Cesar Condi, CNN Worldwide CEO Mark Thompson, as well as former NBC News President Noah Oppenheim, somebody I also worked with for a time. Paramount had also weighed Ben Sherman, CEO of the Daily Beast, and former ABC News president, and David Rhodes, the former CBS News president and current Sky News executive chairman, according to a source familiar with the search. So they're searching among people who have long news experience to run the business side while giving Barry Weiss the editorial side of both networks. Make that make sense. Currently, CBS News President Tom Cybrowski serves alongside Weiss, reporting to George Cheeks, chair of TV media with Paramount. Weiss reports directly to David Ellison, the Paramount CEO. The search comes amid turbulence surrounding CBS News flagship program 60 Minutes, though a source close to the process disputed recent reports suggesting that Weiss's authority could be curtailed. Now, here's the money line. The Paramount brass loves Barry Weiss, the source said. She has the full confidence of David Ellison, who believes Barry has done a fantastic job as editor-in-chief, Scott Pelley, recently fired top correspondent for 60 Minutes, your witness.
Barry Weiss sends an email to my boss, Tanya Simon. Two of the things in the email include, can we make the protesters look more violent? Now, I'm paraphrasing. I don't have the quote, but that's what was communicated to me. And the other thing was Renee Good's car. You need to describe her as driving toward the officer. This is not what you see on the video. On the video, you see the officer standing slightly off the front of the car, and you clearly see Miss Good's wheels turned completely as far as they will go, away from the officer. But he shoots her in the head, kills her, and says something about her in that moment that I can't repeat in polite company. So we have gone out of our way in our plan from the very beginning to show the protesters for the responsibility that they had. We had already scrubbed the video archives looking for those scenes. But it somehow wasn't enough for Ms. Weiss. The video showed that the officer wasn't standing in front of the car and she wasn't driving toward him, but that's what the president said about that, and that's the way she wanted it described.
Well. Joining us now is our good friend, Wajahat Ali, who is our good friend, not only our good friend, but also the host of the Democracy-ish podcast, writer, recovering attorney, creator of the Left Hook Substack, and author of a memoir and a play. We have to talk about that play one time. We're just going to have you come on and talk about that sometime. Waj, what did you make of the interview with Scott Pelley, but also the fact that it appears that Barry Weiss is now getting a promotion because her bosses think she's done an exceptionally wonderful job at CBS?
The bar is so low for Zionist fanatics who are the handmaidens of billionaires. Thank you. I'll see myself out. First of all, happy birthday.
Thank
Second
you.
of all, I told you yesterday. I
did.
told you Trump would curse it. Joy, I said, be
You did.
prepared. You said, don't wish that evil into the world. I said, just prepare yourself. Joanne was on with me yesterday on the left hook, and she got the confirmation as we were doing a live that she got 2 tickets. And I said, Donald Trump is going. I guarantee you that bad juju is going to follow him. And not just his bad juju, the juju of half the Epstein class that was there that priced out New Yorkers with $30,000 to $100,000 tickets. You had friggin' Robert Kraft, you had Jared Kushner, you had Steve Witkoff, you had Bloomberg, you had Howard Lutnick. And I'm like, how can Dolan think that the universe would allow the Knicks to win when you have all the evil in one place assembled in Madison Square Garden? So you went there with the best of intentions, and you saw what happened in real time.
Yeah.
Could you feel the evil in the air?
I almost could smell the sulfur. You know what I mean? Like, you're sitting in a room with like bad vibes and bad juju, because it's like you could almost smell the smell of sulfur.
You could taste it.
And you can almost taste it. It's almost, and 100,000 would even be bad enough. There is a post online that our friend Nitha just posted in our Slack. $595,000 was the top price for 2 seats for Game 3 of the NBA Finals if you wanted to sit courtside. We're talking about, it says here, somebody purchased 2 seats on StubHub for $279,804, according to a guy named Darren Rovell, who posted it. This is usury, and it is the Epstein class. And I'm surprised only that Barry Weiss and the Ellisons weren't there also, because again, lots of sulfur.
I'm not surprised at all. And give me 2 minutes if you can, because I want to connect the dots, because people might think I'm a crazy brown man. All this is connected. The Epstein class, it's the 1% of the 1%, the billionaires, people who are against any accountability, against reform. I want to remind everyone that Israel is the one that put in the security cameras that Epstein used in his New York penthouse to record people. Who gave Epstein the New York penthouse? Leslie Wexner, a billionaire of Victoria's Secrets, has apparently put his name on everything in Ohio, also a hardcore pro-Israel fanatic. These individuals are united in part by their fidelity to the billions of dollars, their fidelity to Donald Trump to use them to get deregulation and tax cuts. And many of them, not all of them, but pretty much many of them are perfectly fine also with Netanyahu. Larry Ellison is the single largest private donor to the Friends of Israel. Larry Ellison is one of the richest people on earth. Larry Ellison said he wants to live forever. Larry Ellison is friend to Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. Larry Ellison's Nepo baby son, David Ellison, is now the, if you will, the head of Paramount and Skydance. How did that merger happen? Because Sherry Redstone of Paramount was perfectly fine selling it to David Ellison, but Donald Trump said, first you have to bribe me. She said, no problem, let me bribe you. He's $16 million. Then Donald Trump said, I need the scalp of Stephen Colbert. He goes, here's Colbert's scalp. Let's remind everyone, Tony DeCulpo, another mediocre white man, he ingratiated himself with Sherry Redstone and Larry Ellison and David Ellison by humiliating a black man, Ta-Nehisi Coates, who had the audacity to say, you know what? There's an occupation and apartheid policies happening in Palestine. So he hijacked that interview. Go back and check it out. Hijacked the interview. The 2 black co-hosts weren't allowed to say a word. CBS News folks were leaking left and right. This was embarrassing. Sherry Redstone protected Tony DeCulpo, who was saved when Barry Weiss took over. Tony DeCulpo, who was elevated to kill CBS News with his mediocrity. Tony DeCulpo. Now, how did Barry Weiss come to CBS? Because David Ellison takes over and he says, you know what? Let me overpay this glorified blog Free Press to the tune of $150 million. And let me bring Barry Weiss, when she has no experience, to take over CBS News in 60 Minutes and drive it to the ground. Who's another whisperer to Barry Weiss? David Sachs. Who's David Sachs? A billionaire. Who's David Sachs? Oh, you know, part of the PayPal South African broligarchy. I'm not making this up. It's David Sachs, Peter Thiel, and Elon Musk. They're called the South African PayPal broligarchy. Who's the czar? The Trump czar of AI and crypto? David Sachs. Who was one of the initial investors in Barry Weiss's Free Press? David Sachs. So Larry Ellison and David Ellison have taken over Paramount, taken over CBS, brought in Barry Weiss, who by her own words said, I am a Zionist fanatic. Her 2 allegiances are to Israel and billionaires. She brings in Barry Weiss. He brings in Barry Weiss to destroy CBS in 60 Minutes. You've all seen the news. You've seen Scott Pelley. You've seen the ratings, right? crushed. What does she do? She gets to fail up now and take over and do the same thing to CNN, because who is going to buy CNN and Warner Brothers? The Ellisons. So now they control Paramount and Warner Brothers, 2 of the 5 major Hollywood studios, CBS News, CNN, HBO, Comedy Central, Goodbye John Oliver, Goodbye Daily Show, and then cherry on top, the entire establishment, including Hillary Clinton, said it wasn't a genocide that radicalized an entire generation against Israel. What was it, Joy? The TikTok. So who bought TikTok a couple of months ago? You want to tell them, Joy?
Larry Ellison.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
And scene. And we were just talking in the previous hour, Waj, about the insidiousness of this network. They actually, you have to almost kind of game recognizes game. They have thought of everything, right? You're right. They're taking over all of social media to shut down. You'll notice the way that you can get your content spiked on TikTok and say anything bad about Israel or anything about the genocide. Your stuff will be muted. Same thing will happen on Meta. They're all on the same gang. But now you have, to your point, it's not just Republicans, it's Democrats. This guy, Adrian Boafo, who is sprinting toward getting the nomination to replace Steny Hoyer, who's a big AIPAC recipient. He gets his money from where? Crypto. You just mentioned David Sachs.
There you go.
And AIPAC by a different name. They switch their name up so that they can have a PAC that's really, they call it Democratic Majority for Israel, but it's the same thing. It's the same money. But what they want is a guy who's going to say, I'm going to fight Trump. My main thing is keeping ICE out of the police department. But he's their guy, meaning he will be a reliable vote for what? Israel. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, literally carpet bagging a district in Florida where she doesn't live to replace a Black candidate with herself. And she is got great fidelity, not just even just to AIPAC and Israel, but to Donald Trump's crazy Venezuela experiment to install his puppet as the president of Venezuela. So it's like, it's not, I wish it was just the Republicans. Well, I want it to just be the Republicans, but unfortunately, sometimes it be your own people.
And look, that Venn diagram of AI, crypto, and AIPAC is like the giant circle. Just follow the money, folks. We're just giving you the evidence. You make up the same conclusions. $92 million were spent in the Illinois primaries by AI, crypto, and AIPAC. Up to $500 million are being spent in California. All these freaks. Joe Lonsdale, the co-founder of Palantir, the surveillance state, the techno-fascist company of Alex Karp, where he released the 22-point fascist manifesto. He has a PAC, and he's got all these techno-fascist freaks called Leading the Future. $150 million to give out to both sides of the aisle, right? They give out money to Democrats, they give out money to Republicans, AI, crypto, and AIPAC. And then I'm just going to bring the receipts. Chuck Schumer, Senate Minority Leader, in February said, while cameras were on him, my number one priority as Senate Minority Leader, Joy, is to make sure Israel gets all the funding that it needs. You can't make this up. So if you have fidelity to the billionaires and you have fidelity to AIPAC, that you are the Democratic and Republican establishment hack. They're giving money to both sides of the aisle. And if you don't believe me, furthermore, what unites, whether you like these people or not, Graham Plattner, Chris Rabb, Dr. Adam Hamawi, Abdul El-Sayed, right? What unites all of them? They're against billionaires, and they call it Israel's genocide, and they say, I don't want AIPAC money. And the Democratic establishment says, oh, let's crush you. If you don't believe me, we had Hakeem Jeffries on this show. I'm like, Hakeem Jeffries, on your show, I asked him. AIPAC gave $2 million to Tom Malinowski in New Jersey's 11th district. He is a self-described Zionist, pro-Israel Democrat, but he wasn't pro-Israel enough, so they tried to knock him out. Do you still take money from AIPAC? And Hakeem Jeffries is like ChatGPT. He was like, I will continue to take money. So this is what you're seeing, folks. And then I ask you, Joy, why the primary season is so important is you see now 75% of Americans are against AI data centers. 75% of Americans want the release of the Epstein files. 75% of Americans are against the war in Iran. A majority of Americans now, not just Democrats, are against this unconditional aid to Israel. If you get these Democrats who take money from AI, crypto, and AIPAC, what guarantee do you have that they won't just recreate the wheel and instead give you little crumbs? And what I'm telling you is it's a big club and you ain't in it. And I just tried to bring facts right now. You make your own conclusions.
No, 100%. Corey Bush was replaced by one of these guys, and he may be good on a couple things here and there. He's running for re-election against Corey Bush again. Put Corey Bush back in Missouri. Give me a break. She is for the people. He is AIPAC's puppet. He may do one or two little crumbs to make it look like he cares, but his main thing is he will never go against AIPAC because they'll get rid of him. They'll just fund him out. I want to show you this. This is Jason. If you could just pull up C7, just to point out again. We wish it was just the Republicans. This was the Israel Day Parade that took place in New York City last week, I guess over the Memorial Day holiday weekend. And the people who marched in this parade included the police commissioner, the attorney general, Tish James, the governor, I believe, showed up for it. Chuck Schumer showed up for it. Lots and lots of people, but also a literal wanted war criminal.
Literally.
A literal wanted war criminal marched in the Israeli Day Parade. Jason, play a little bit of C7, please.
Ugh.
Shame, Gilad Ardan. Shame on you, ya efes.
So you saw Michael Bloomberg, former mayors Michael Bloomberg, Eric Adams, the governor, you name it, all felt completely comfortable, including Chuck Schumer, marching with Bezalel Smotrich, who is a wanted war criminal for genocide and apartheid in Gaza and the West Bank.
It wasn't just Bezalel Smotrich. It was like a half a dozen of these ethno-supremacist genocidal freaks who came from Israel to march alongside these Democrats in the Israel Day Parade about 2 weeks ago. And Bezalel Smotrich, by his own words, folks, is a Jewish fascist, his words, and a proud homophobe who right now is essentially allowing settlers in the West Bank to run free and commit havoc. We don't even talk about what's happening in the West Bank because, there's a genocide in Gaza, and Israel is, by the way, ethnically cleansing Lebanon, has taken over southern Lebanon and displaced 1 million people and killed 4,000 people. But yeah, look at the West Bank and what settlers are doing. So you got these six or so folks who are open about it. That's the best thing. It's like a super villain, a Bond super villain who just tells you the plot. They don't hide it. And can you imagine what would happen if, I don't know, Zoran Mamdani or AOC or Ilhan Omar were with the Muslim equivalent or Arab equivalent of that marching side by side? Zoran Mamdani was asked by the Democrats the week before the primaries. Hakeem Jeffries went on in the weekend shows and said, I will take him at his word, but it is troubling that he has not condemned chants that he has never used. He was asked to condemn a chant they had never used. And meanwhile, we see this. And Chuck Schumer in February said he saw all the polls, but he doesn't care. He's still seen all the polls. He does not care. He says, my number one priority is to give Israel all the aid that it needs. So this is not a conspiracy theory, and I want to be very clear here. This I'm not saying Jews. Joy hasn't said Jews. We said AIPAC and Israel, because there are many Jews who are against this. There's Brad Lander, who describes himself as a progressive Zionist who cares deeply about Israel, says, I cannot support this. And he's Jewish. There are many Jews who have been against this for 2.5 years and longer. They're called self-hating Jews and capos by these people. This is against occupation, apartheid, racism, and genocide. And I'm telling you, AIPAC proudly spends money to take out Democrats. And then the Democratic leader says, no problem, AIPAC, take out Tom Malinowski. AIPAC just spent a record amount to take out Thomas Massie. Do you know how much money AIPAC spent to take out Thomas Massie? $35 million. The previous two primary races that were the most expensive in all time were the race to get rid of Corey Bush and Jamal Bowman. And who spent the money there? Joy, want to tell?
AIPAC. And by the way, they spent that insane, obscene amount of money for a race that had fewer than 100,000 people voting in a place with 700,000 eligible adults. Only about 108,000 people voted. They do the per vote total on that. And I just want for y'all to understand, when we're saying these people are war criminals, Jason, if you could pull up C9, Itamar Ben-Gvir, who is the partner with Bezalel Smotrich, the two of them are both genocidal, have called for the complete wipeout of Gaza. They want to recolonize the entirety of Gaza and deport everyone there or kill them all. Here's Itamar Ben-Gvir, who is, I believe he's in charge of the IDF. It personally came out to abuse people who had come from all over the world on a flotilla to try to support and defend the people of Gaza. They were allegedly sexually abused. Some of them from Australia have alleged they were sexually abused. They were beaten. They were starved of food and water. And here's Itamar Ben-Gvir personally participating. Here it is.
עם הרבה גאווה כגיבורים גדולים. תראי איך הם נראים עכשיו, תסתכלי. תראי איך הם נראים עכשיו. לא גיבורים ולא כלום, תומכי טרור. ואני אומר לראש הממשלה נתניהו, תן לי אותם לעוד הרבה זמן. תן לנו אותם בבתי הכלא של המחבלים, ככה זה צריך להיראות.
He reshared this proudly, folks. He reshared this.
I got this, by the way, I believe from his social media. Like, yeah. I mean, the reality is there are literally people in the IDF who are sharing videos of themselves looting Palestinian homes, taking things from them and going home with it, laughing on camera. And the people who were in that flotilla allege they were literally beaten and sexually abused, Waj. And there's been crickets from the US government and from Democrats.
There's a great Onion photo that came out a couple of days ago that says Donald Trump will write Israel a strongly worded check. Itamar Ben-Gvir, National Security Minister, a man who openly and proudly says, yes, everything belongs to us, a man who mocks the international community, reshared this video even as the fascist leader of Italy says this is too much. Itamar Ben-Gvir, folks, last month, who celebrated his 50th birthday party. Did you see this, Joy? With that golden noose on his... The golden noose symbolizes the Knesset passing an apartheid law that allows for the hanging of Palestinian prisoners and only Palestinian prisoners. When that came out, he popped champagne in the Knesset and he was wearing a golden noose lapel to celebrate it. And then his equally sadistic wife surprised him with a 50th birthday cake with a golden noose on it. This is who he is. This is a man who praises Baruch Goldstein, the American settler terrorist who opened fire in the Ibrahimi Mosque and killed more than 24 Palestinians. He celebrates him as a hero. That's the National Security Minister of Israel. And the reason why Netanyahu stuck with him, without Smotrich and without Ben-Gvir, his coalition falls apart. So he's not outliers, folks. That represents right now Israel's ruling class. That represents the Israeli government that your money goes to by both sides of the aisle. And I asked Joy, when will it be enough? They dragged Donald Trump's dumbass into an unwinnable war. We've exhausted our missiles to support them and their Iron Dome. Meanwhile, our Gulf allies are like, mother effers, we thought we'd be safe. We have American companies and American bases here. All that money is going to Israel. At least $30 to $40 billion have been wasted. Still, blank check after blank check. And did you see what happened a couple of days ago? New York Times and The Guardian reported that Israel has increased as an espionage threat to America. So literally our own government says, yeah, the number one espionage threat from foreign countries is actually Israel. What should we do about it? Let's give them a blank check. This is madness, Joy. It's madness. And you know, I tried to bring the receipts because I want to be very clear. I'm a brown Muslim man saying it. So they're always going to undercut me. They're always going to say I'm anti-Semitic no matter what I say. And I bring the receipts. I'm talking about Israel and the Zionist fanatic supporters of the Israeli government. I'm not talking about Jews. Neither is Joy, which is why we call out that it is a multi-religious coalition against these fascists, right? But if you bring it up and you're a brown man or a Muslim man or a black person, how do they get rid of you, Joy?
They get rid of you very expeditiously. Very expeditious. Or if you try to tell the truth about them at all. I want to also note that in addition to being an intelligence threat and a spying threat, you know, that spies on us on a regular basis, we're now going to effectively merge our military intelligence with theirs. Thomas Massie has been screaming bloody murder about it while he's still in Congress. He's like, he's going to do what he can to stop it. But we're talking about giving them even more access to our intelligence information. Let me play for you all Zoran Mamdani's response.
What can we talk about? Can we say that real quick? Because people don't know real quick. Section 224. Let me repeat it. Section 224. Folks, they're trying to merge. It's Section 224, a controversial provision in the House for next year for the National Defense Authorization Act. That's to permanently integrate the United States and Israel's military-industrial sectors.
I'm going to read this from the Intercept. I'm going to just pull this up right now. A controversial insertion is from the Intercept of the National Defense Authorization Act, currently winding its way through the House, would permanently intertwine U.S. and Israeli defense technology, including artificial intelligence, and autonomous systems. Lawmakers and military experts told the Intercept that Section 224, named United States-Israel Defense Technology Cooperation Initiative, is highly irregular and closely resembles a bipartisan bill backed by the pro-Israel lobby that died in Congress earlier this year. Quote, this is a quote, "I can't think of another example of Congress formalizing integration of critical national security technologies with a foreign power," said retired Air Force Lieutenant Colonel William Astori. And now you wonder why AIPAC and its phony sort of sealed organizations are playing not just in the Republican primary, going after people like Thomas Massie, but they're playing among the Democrats too, because they want to ensure a win-win situation for themselves in November. I tell you guys on this show all the time, your power is in your primary. If you sit out your primary, you get a vote for the lesser of two evils option in November, and then people be complaining, I have a lesser of two. Yes, because for AIPAC, it's a win-win, because whether you get the Republican who wins or the Democrat, they're both pro-Israel. They're both pro-AIPAC. So you've got to weed out these candidates in the primary. I'm again saying, Adrian Boafo, feel free to come on here and defend yourself, bruh, but you are the AIPAC guy, and you need to explain why people should give you power to go into Congress to vote for things like Section 244. I do want to play for you very quickly Zoran Mamdani's response to being criticized for not going to this insane parade. Here's his response. I thought it was very good, Jason. This is the
Israel Day Parade over the weekend. What do you say to New Yorkers who heard you saying, basically, I'll protect the parade, I won't stand in it? What I hear from some folks is that they said, it felt like, I'll keep you safe but won't stand with you. And then also, what do you say to New Yorkers outraged that members of the administration marched with an Israeli official who called for the total annihilation of Gaza's cities, the finance minister, Smotrich?
You know, I've made clear time and time again over the course of the campaign my criticisms of the Israeli government. And you can see in the participation of the far-right Israeli minister Smotrich, as well as a number of other ministers, a vision of annihilation, a complicity in genocide, and frankly, a belief that does not have much value for even the sanctity of children in Gaza. And I am offended, as I know many New Yorkers are, by their participation. And when it comes to members of my administration, I allow them to make their own decisions as to what marches they would like to participate in. However, as I've said time and time again, as the mayor of the city, I need not be present to ensure the security of a march, and also that this is a march to celebrate Israel. That is something that many New Yorkers attended, many New Yorkers did not. When it comes to the sanctity and the security of Jewish life in this city, that is something that we are fully committed to ensuring that each and every Jewish New Yorker is not just safe in the city, but is celebrated.
I do not understand why people in one country, I mean, I guess you could say people do it to celebrate Ireland on St. Patrick's Day, I guess. I've just never seen any other country treated this way, that we need an entire march with public officials who go to specifically celebrate a foreign country.
A foreign country in the Middle East that is committing a genocide and has apartheid policy and is run by genocidal fanatics who are openly telling you, yes, we're proud Jewish fascists, and who have dog-walked our dumbass Bulgarian president into an unwinnable illegal war. Folks, to Joy's point, I think the question you should be asking in primary season, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, is do you take money from AIPAC? Why? Do you take money from crypto? Why? Do you take money from AI? Why? And if they still take money from it, that's not your candidate. because that candidate will not help you folks. And my warning to America is vote blue no matter who. I get it. But if these people get in power, we're going to see a repeat of what happened in 2024. We're going to see a repeat of what happened. Well, they're too big to fail. We got to bail them out because it's not in their interest to go against their masters. These people are groomed and put in place into office by these billionaire money. Will they mess up and take away the feathers of their nest, Joy? Of course not. So you have to literally get them on the record. I am no longer taking money from APAC, AI, and crypto. Because if those candidates get in, guess what? When these mother effers F up, and they're going to F up because they're sociopaths and they're going to tank the economy, do you think that these people have your interest at heart or these people's interest at heart? And also ask them to defend why they take money from APAC. And then also the double standard. Zoran Mamdani had to apologize for a chant he never used. How come no one's asked Chuck Schumer to apologize for standing with Israel that is committing a genocide? Joy?
If any Democratic candidate took money from the Nation of Islam, which is got millions of adherents throughout the United States and is a part of the larger, the black, sort of political entities or sort of social entities all over the country, doing all sorts of, good works around. If they even went to a meeting with the Nation of Islam, they would be finished. Okay, let's. I want to move on to one more thing before I let you go, because we have to talk about this crash out by Donald Trump. And one thing I will say, just a wee bit of criticism from that last question. I'm so over Zoran Mamdani being constantly asked to justify why he's not marching with war criminals. I mean, people felt they didn't feel seen. They didn't feel seen because you didn't want to march with a war criminal. Stop asking him that. Like that doesn't even make sense. What do you mean? Why? He needs to march with Smotrich so that American Jewish people will feel seen. What does that have to do with them? He's from another country.
It's
He's not
insane.
from the United States.
It's insane. And I'm so glad you mentioned that. Israel is a foreign country in the Middle East that gets $3 to $4 billion of your money to occupy Palestinians and implement apartheid policies, and have now dragged us into an unwinnable illegal war. Why?
It's not the 51st state, y'all. That people do not have to like Israel. Okay, I'm sorry. It's like saying that if you don't like Zimbabwe, you don't like black people. If you don't like, you know what I mean? If you don't like, this is dumb. Liberia's got lots of formerly African slaves. From the American enslaved black people were sent to Liberia to colonize Liberia. They were basically the Israelis of Africa. They sent these American formerly enslaved black people who were not even from Liberia and said, "Now you guys are in charge of Liberia." That created like constant tension because the indigenous people in that state, in that place, were like, "Wait a minute, this is our country." They're like, "Nope, now it's ours." Like, so if I'm like not for Liberia, do I hate all Africans and black people? No, or this doesn't make sense. Anyway, so let's move on. I want to play this crash out, Jason. This is D6 because I've got to get Watch's take on it.
You think it's appropriate that they have an election and 5 days later they're nowhere close to picking a winner?
State and local officials acknowledge they are slow. They're urging.
No, they're crooked.
They're urging the votes to be counted quickly. That's how they vote in California.
They're crooked, just like you're crooked. Your press is crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked.
To be fair, I'm not crooked, but let's
really.
Let's
well,
continue.
You play right into their hands.
Let's continue.
You're either crooked or you're stupid. You play
continue.
right into their hands with this rap. You know that these elections are rigged. Your network knows that they're rigged. You know that I won an election in a landslide, and I got 94% bad press.
But, Mr. President,
you know why I got that?
Because
you have no credibility.
But you've never presented evidence that it was rigged. Let's keep talking about. I want to talk about Todd.
You have more evidence. There's more evidence than ever presented.
Let's talk
your
about
elections in this country. We're like a third world country.
But, sir,
your elections are crooked, and you're crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked, and so is ABC and CBS and CNN.
But, Mr. President,
you're one-sided crooked networks. All right, let's call it quits because I've had enough. Thank you, darling. Have a good time.
Mr. President, let's please. I traveled all the way to Wisconsin.
I've sat in the rain with you.
I know.
I've sat in the rain with you for an hour, on and off in the rain, and I've given you enough time. You ought to straighten out your press because you know what? A country can never be great with a dishonest
Listen,
press.
we traveled all the way to Wisconsin for this interview.
And he finishes by stepping on the microphone. I couldn't tell if it was like Kristen was like a mom with an out of control child in the grocery store, or I don't know how to describe what I saw there. So I was like, we talked about this on the Left Hook and I enjoyed it. So I was like, let's do it again and piss the right off even more. Your thoughts?
I mean, listen, if that was my mom, if that was your mom, are you kidding me? And we behaved like that, my mom was like, wait till you get back home. I'm gonna crush you. And then she'd be speaking in Urdu and threatening violence upon me, and I'd be terrified, right? But instead, I want you all to know why the corporate media is completely broken, why you have to support Joy and independent media, because we all saw it. We have the evidence of our eyes and our ears. We saw how Kristen Welker maintained her calm. She was humiliated, mocked, ridiculed. Her colleagues were mocked and ridiculed. She was called what? A liar, crooked, idiot, all that stuff. Stupid. All right. This is Kristen Welker's corporate written post on Threads. I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it word for word. This is what she said. My interview with President Trump on Friday afternoon was unfortunately complicated by weather issues. In spite of those challenges, we still had substantial conversation on issues from the Iran war to economy to the so-called anti-weaponization fund. Tune in for the full interview on Meet the Press. This is why they're broken. They're remoras. They're reeks. They're gimps. They will still go to the White House Correspondents' Dinner if he hosts them again. They can't change. They're like the dog from Up. Squirrel, squirrel, squirrel. They're not agile. They're not built for this fight. They're not made for this moment. He literally humiliated you, Kristen Welker. You're in danger, girl. Run for your life. And she's like, may I have another? And this is the type of Faustian bargain, Joy. Let's just be honest about it. This is the Faustian bargain of cable news. Hey, everyone wants this job. This is a very rare, rarefied privilege perch. So in order to get ahead, you have to get along. So you're going to have to sit there and take it, because we'll just get another black or another white, and then your career's over. All right, I have to take it. I have to take it. What more do I have to take? You have to be called piggy. I'll have to take it. You have to be called crooked. I'll have to take it. You have to be called stupid. I have to take it. You have to be called enemy of the state. I have to take it. You have to be called a pedophile. I'll have to take it. You have to literally be gaslit to your face by a vulgarian who sits there and whines and blames your country, even though he's the president of that effing country and he's losing his marbles and sweating profusely. You have to sit there and take it. The difference between them and us, Joy, is we don't take it. I would have said, you're crooked. You're stupid. You're an idiot. It's your country. You've effed up, and that's why I probably would have been shot by Secret Service. What would you have done, Joy, if you were in that position?
First of all, I think it is clear to me, having worked for that same company, that the public relations and legal departments wrote that statement. Kristen Welker did not write that statement. I would be shocked to learn that she wrote that statement. That statement wasn't even factual. It wasn't the rain. They were there for more than an hour in the rain. They acknowledged that at the top of the interview. At the end of the interview, he crashed out completely. Now, if I was writing a PR post, because I want people to actually watch the interview, I'd say, tune in to see the President of the United States completely fall apart in front, in the face of not being able to answer simple questions about his lies about voter fraud. That would have been a promo. That promo didn't even invite people to watch. So it didn't make sense. The man literally, when he's not asleep, he's crashing out. He's either asleep, posting on social media like a mad person all night, or he's crashing all the way out like a dementia patient. So she should have represented it that way. But yes, I also would have said, and I think this is a simple phrase that would do so well for all of these journalists who are in a terrible position. They don't want to get fired, but you should be able to say this. And then if they try to fire you, call your agent. You should say, Mr. President, I'm not stupid. That is a simple, factual phrase that, by the way, Barbara Walters would have used. Go back and watch Barbara Walters interview the exact same person, Donald Trump. No, he wasn't president at the time, but she still was respectful but firm. Barbara Walters would never. Donald Trump would never call her stupid because she would end him in that interview. I've seen her do it. She did it in the 90s and in the late 80s. Donald Trump can be interviewed. You saw the guy from Axios do it very effectively. As long as you are firm and don't let him gaslight you, don't let him lie to your face, and don't let him belittle you. The more you let a bully belittle you, the more they will. He treats these people that way because they let him, and they do it because they want access. This is an access journalism move where you want to be invited back. You want him back so badly that you're willing to let him roll over you. Stop doing that, media. You are high paid, well paid. Y'all are rich enough that you should be able, if they fire you, to go on and start a podcast or do whatever. You can do it. Just be strong, have a little self-dignity, and tell that motherfucker, I'm not stupid.
That's right. No, exactly. Like, there's that line from Born Identity. Look at what they make you give. Look at what they make you give. And I ask you, is it worth it? Don't you have kids? Don't you have family members? Don't you have a legacy? Don't you want to be proud of what you left behind? You let a punk ass bitch like just clown you and your colleagues again and again and again. And for what? For what? And your corporate bosses will throw you under the bus. They threw you under the bus. They threw Mehdi under the bus. Come on now. They're going to throw everyone under the bus and give that money to Scott. What's that guy? The Scott, that loser on CNN. I'm forgetting his name.
Scott, whatever his name is on CNN.
Yeah, Scott Ozempic.
Scott Pelley. Scott Pelley was one of the most fair, down-the-middle journalists in the world. He couldn't survive because he wouldn't lie about Alex Preddy and Renee Good and pretend the protesters were violent, because he wouldn't put literal lies into 60 Minutes. They even fired the austere white dude. No one is safe in this moment.
The old, straight, white anchor of CBS and 60 Minutes. They got rid of him. So if they can get rid of him, is it worth it, Jake Tapper? Is it worth it, Dana Bash? Is it worth it, everyone else? You're gonna get a scoop. Can I do my this dark humor? I predicted this 8 years ago. This is my dark humor. I've shared this before, but I said, okay, if Trump and fascism comes and they bring us all up into camps, right? It's going to be black people, immigrants, Muslims, Latinos, the dissidents, and of course the press. So Joy and I will be sitting there. This is an old school reference to a great movie, The Great Escape. We'll be like Steve McQueen trying to figure out how to escape. All of these reeks who go to the White House Correspondents' Dinner, they'll have their microphone and they'll stick their microphone through the fence, and they'll be like MAGA, like stormtroopers walking by, and they're like, "Can we get an exclusive?" And they're like, "Yeah, you're all gonna die. Who's gonna die first? You. Can that be a scoop? Can I be the first one to run it?" And he'll be like, "Sure." And so meanwhile, we'll be like, "We gotta save ourselves." And like, "I have an exclusive." And then another person said, "No, it's my exclusive." And then they'll fight each other and kill each other as the rest of us escape the camps.
I would watch this Netflix movie. I would watch this film. Maybe it's more of a Tubi movie, but I would watch it either way.
You know that's what they do. That's my scoop. No, it's my scoop. And then they just beat each other up with the microphone.
And then there would be like a PR release afterwards. You know, our journalists got an exclusive scoop on who was going to die first. Unfortunately, they did not live to be able to tell you more because they're dead.
No, even better. Predict on Kalshi and Polymarket which journalist will actually live when they're in a death to the fight to the death fight right now. It's Kristen Walker versus Jake Tapper. Who will survive? We're taking our bets right now.
Do you think there will be anybody that says no to this new redone White House Correspondents' Dinner? Because I figure everyone's going to go. Everyone's going to go.
95% of they can't change. I know them. You know them. They're the dog from Up. Boy, they can't change. They want to change. They can't. At the end of the day, they'll say squirrel, and they'll go.
Well, I will just ask you, Wajahat Ali, one of our favorite guests of all time, whenever the night of that White House Correspondents' Dinner is, we should do a live and ruin their day. Because we know that every time we come together, an angel gets its wings because we piss off Fox. And so I feel like we should try to figure out whatever day that is, do a live or do this show. Either way, we gotta hang out on that day because we
literally every time Joy and I get together, there are Fox News hits, New York Post hits, and it's always about, you know why they might not come after us? Because we haven't mocked mediocre white men yet. Anytime you say anything about mediocre white men,
there's still time, dude. There's still time. There's still time.
I give you Ken Paxton. I give you Ken Paxton, the Attorney General, the world's most mediocre, corrupt man who literally his own aides said this man should be removed for abuse of power. Republicans tried to impeach him, a man who was indicted for securities fraud. And as we're talking about Graham Plattner and I don't know, Mamdani and whatever you think about them, the Attorney General, Ken Paxton, who's running for Senate, literally freed his friend, Adam Hoffman, who raped a boy for 3 years. He gave him a plea bargain. I'm not making this up. Ken Paxton gave Adam Hoffman a plea bargain. Adam Hoffman should be in jail for life. The plea bargain got him down to a misdemeanor. He didn't even serve the full 60 days. He only served for a few weeks. He walked out last week, and he doesn't even have to register as a sex offender. The bari is real low.
The bari is very low. Wajahat Ali, please make sure that everybody follows you. Y'all make sure you please follow him on The Left Hook on Substack. It is some of your most fun viewing. You will be very happy that you did. Waj, what else do you want to promote?
That's it. I think Knicks in 6. I called it the curse. Hopefully they win tomorrow. I think Spurs win it game 5, and then the Knicks win it in Madison Square Garden. If Trump or the pedophiles come, I think that's the bad juju.
It's bad juju. Don't go. Trump, stay home. We don't want you here. Wajahat Ali, thank you.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Always so much fun. Thank you very much. Wajahat Ali, one of our favorites. He never misses. The rants never miss. I want to note for you guys before we move on to our last final little bit of the podcast, that this podcast is brought to you by our friends at Planned Parenthood Federation of America. Got to get this in because everyone deserves access to high quality, affordable health care, no matter what. That is why millions of people rely on Planned Parenthood health centers for services like cancer screenings, wellness exams, birth control, STI tests, and more. In fact, they were my first health care when I first came out of college and had no actual health care. Planned Parenthood is where I went for all screenings, all things. In fact, 1 in 3 women in the US have been to Planned Parenthood for care, including myself. So it kind of blows my mind that lawmakers are trying to permanently shut them down. They've already passed a law that blocks patients that use Medicaid from getting the affordable preventive care that they need, and now they want to make that law permanent. Nobody benefits when people are getting fewer exams, paying more for care, or just skipping the health care that they need altogether. And we know that that is happening. Planned Parenthood health centers have reported that fewer patients are getting basic care like breast exams and STI tests since the Trump administration and their backers defunded Planned Parenthood. Patients should not suffer because of their laws. Our communities deserve better. So please, to support and get involved, just text update, UPDATE, update to 22422. That is update. Just text that to 22422 and get more information about how you can be supportive. Okay, so before we get out of here, I just want to put a couple of headlines just in your mind that we want to keep a pin on for later. Headline number 1, Peter Thiel is moving to Argentina. Think about that for a moment. Peter Thiel, the guy behind Donald Trump, and behind Palantir. He's sort of the leader of the PayPal mafia, the guy who funded all these companies and started them up. He is now, and PayPal, etc. He's moving his family to Argentina. Wonder why that would be. So wreck the country, install a puppet president, but you're going to move. Okay, I'll put a pin in that. Next one, Jared and Ivanka. They had this plan to effectively build what you could call Epstein Island 2.0. But the people where they were trying to build it, I've said absolutely no. Let's play this video from a social
example
media
of how
user.
to fight back is Albania. They heard that Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump are buying off the island of Cezanne, or what most people would call Epstein Island 2.0. Now the story is that Ivanka and Jared were swimming, then hiking, barefoot, and had the vision.
We were on a friend's boat and we stopped for a swim. Effectively, that's how we found it. We swam to the islands. We went on a hike, barefoot all the way up to the top, and we were just captivated.
This used to be a military base with underground tunnels and bunkers and mines. I mean, come on, everybody knows that these people can't swim. Jared even said that they were cruising with their friend Nat Rothschild, and that's where he met Albania's Prime Minister Edi Rama, who supports the project. So wait, you mean the same Rothschild that Jeffrey Epstein claimed to represent in his emails to blackmail people and traffic children? Islands, tunnels, politicians, billionaires, we're starting to get the picture. Furthermore, it is important to understand that whoever controls the island of Cezanne controls the Strait of Otranto, which is the passage that separates Italy and Albania. And historically, whoever controls Cezanne controls the shipping routes between the Adriatic and the Mediterranean Sea. And that's why it's a military base. Just like Gaza, this is a strategic geopolitical land grab, and whatever story they're trying to sell about swimming and hiking and luxury resorts, the people of Albania are not having it.
Albania is not for sale. Albania belongs to the Albanian people, and we decide what we want to do here.
So I'm going to link to that young man's his feed so that you guys can follow him, because that is something that I think went very much under the radar. The fact that these two are attempting to buy a very key island, something like a Strait of Hormuz type of play that would be privately owned. Why are they doing that? Why are these billionaires attempting to leave the United States to create their own sort of like floating weird mini countries and sort of entities that are extra legal outside the United States? That's the last thing. Last thing, over the weekend, Judicial Watch, which is the right-wing organization that they do like these lawsuits that are generally against people they consider liberal, they did a Freedom of Information Act request that actually got accepted, in which they had released information about Thomas Crooks. This is the guy who allegedly was trying to assassinate Donald Trump in Pennsylvania, in Butler, Pennsylvania. I just did a flash of it, Jason. If you could put it up, it's D3, and you will see that it is a heavily redacted file. This is what Judicial Watch was able to get out. Now, Frank Figluzzi, who was a former FBI agent, he posted about this, which got me interested. I'm like, ooh, because normally I don't know that I trust Judicial Watch, but the FBI issued a furious denial that there was anything nefarious going on here, saying that unlike what a lot of independent media outlets were saying, this is not showing that Thomas Crooks had contact with a sheriff's deputy or more than one sheriff's deputy, but that he was having contact with sort of former professors who were then reaching out to the FBI to tell the FBI what they knew about him. I guess that could be true, but the question then here is, why all the redactions? This thing is full of redactions. I went through it. You can barely read it because of the redactions. But here's the thing that's kind of interesting that's in it. In addition to the alleged contacts, apparently the FBI found some sort of device on Crooks's body after he was killed that is like a transmitter. And it's a kind of transmitter that doesn't make sense for him to have had unless he was transmitting to someone on the day and at the time that he took these shots that killed a Trump supporter. And of course, Donald Trump claims that he himself was shot in the ear, nor as well as the mainstream media all saying that it was, even though there's no evidence that he was shot in the ear, that something, his ear was bleeding, and then he had the big Duplo pad on his ear for a while. It's all very mysterious. Just wanted to let y'all know that we're putting a pin in that story, and we're going to come back to it again. We're also going to come back to this story of this young man named Cyrus Carmack Belton, whose alleged killer walked free in South Carolina after the family, this is an Asian American family that owned a business where this young man was shopping, looking for water. He picks up a bottle of water. He puts the bottle of water down. He's accused of stealing, leaves the store, and is chased by the father, maybe the father, the wife, and the son. And then he's shot in the back and killed. The shooter, this happened over a year ago. I think it happened actually in 2024. That case ended with the alleged shooter, the father, being found not guilty. Now, there are questions about whether the father is really the shooter or whether the son maybe did it. But also, this has sparked protests, a civil rights lawsuit, as well as calls for a federal investigation, which, by the way, will not happen because this young man was Black. And so you know that Kash Patel's FBI ain't investigating that. So we're going to look into that case. That's going to be coming up too. So I just want to put a pin in those stories. There was also, it's really giving like a lot of the Rodney King vibes. People are saying that these immigrant communities who have businesses in Black communities, but are fundamentally fearful of Black people, but their businesses are in the community because that is the economics of the situation. It's where they can afford to open a business, but now they're in proximity to people whom they are suspicious of and fear, is creating something like what happened before the Rodney King riots, where there was a young woman who was accused of stealing by a Korean grocery store owner who then shot and killed her. It's sort of giving that same kind of vibe. So I want to talk about that. We're going to be doing that. We're booking on that story as well. There's also the sort of the flip side case of a young man named Carmelo Anthony, not the basketball player Carmelo Anthony, but he's another kid named Carmelo Anthony who was just sentenced, who was going to be sentenced in a murder of a young white man who was stabbed to death. So that's like the opposite thing that happened. So there's a lot of these cases that we just want to put a pin in and let y'all know that we're going to be covering them. Okay, now we're going to get to our moment of joy. It is the end of the show. And of course, our moment of joy is about our birthday, duh, because it is our 1-year anniversary. So we want to play you our very first promo for our very first interview with the great and hilarious Amber Ruffin. Here's the promo, and it is our moment of joy.
That's your free speech and blah, blah, blah. Because originally, when I lost the White House correspondence gig,
Talk about how did they tell you? Did you get an email? What happened? How did you find out you were no longer doing it?
We're like, you acted wild on a podcast and you lost White House correspondence. And I was like, yeah, man.
Well, what did you say on the podcast?
Act wild.
She didn't say nothing that y'all wouldn't have said. All right. Well, thank you to Amber Ruffin for being our very first guest 1 year ago today on the debut of the Joy Reid show. We also interviewed Ross Baraka right before that. Was like our preview episode. And we're very excited to have been here a year. We thank each and every one of you guys for riding with us, rolling with us. We hope you guys will continue to hang out with us for a little news, a little tea, a little history, a little fun, a few laughs, a lot of hey, Jason, what's going on?
I was just coming to say thank you, y'all, for just hanging out with us for this year. And the next year going forward, we got a lot of good things for you guys. So keep on watching, supporting, and ask all your peoples.
That's right.
Support the Joy Reid Show and independent media, because without y'all, we can't do this.
We can't.
And I do know that y'all love when Joy start cooking. So we got bills to pay. So y'all need to get more people to know so she can cook some more. But I do appreciate y'all. Thank you for supporting us in this year, and continue to support. We love it. Thank you.
And I promise you, I will never let Donald Trump call me stupid. We were in the same, yesterday at the game was only the second time I've ever been in the same space with him. And I promise you, the vibe and the energy both times have felt very off. And in that case, it was him and a bunch of his billionaire friends, lots of celebrities, lots of people we like, but a lot of people that, you know, were there because they, you know, they had the coin to be there. And I will know I was not in the VIP section. We were very grateful.
No, I seen the seats when I called you. You was up pretty high.
Really high.
But the point is, you were in the room where it happened. You know what I mean? And again, I will defend you on this one because in '99, our youngest son Miles was in my wife's stomach, and we both went to a Knicks game. Did they win or lose that playoff game?
The one that we went to.
We went to two of them. Did they win?
We went to
that
two
game?
Back to back. They won one and lost one. We went to two
which
in
one?
Miami,
Which one
we
did
were
they?
Obnoxious.
Did they lose the second or the last game that when you was pregnant with Miles? Were they?
I gotta remember because
if they lost when you were pregnant with Miles at the game we went and they lost last night, that just says it all. Because you and Miles were together last night, so that in itself would have been an omen. But we're gonna leave it alone because we're gonna keep celebrating basketball in its totality and even pick up the Spurs players.
No, we're not picking up the Spurs.
Not the players. I meant to say the fans. I meant to say fans. I am sorry. That was a slip of the tongue. I meant to say fans, but you know, everybody big up. Knicks in 6.
And Donald Trump, please take your bad juju away and do not attend any more games because I'm telling you, he messed up the vibe inside of the stadium. He messed it up. But yes, Miles was now the out of the belly. Miles was able to go to a game, so it was really great. So thank you very much to our friend that made that happen. And we are going to see you guys on the next Joy Reid Show. We got a lot more coming up tomorrow, so don't forget. We're almost like nightly because we are back tomorrow night.
No, we have our live show this week too.
Channel. Yeah, we got tonight, and then we have our live show on Thursday.
We have a we have a show tomorrow. We have a show tomorrow. Then we have a live show at City Winery on Thursday, and then another live show on Friday. Yeah,
we just here every day. Y'all just stuck with us every day this week because it's birthday week. We got to celebrate big. We're celebrating big. We're doing it big. All right, you guys. We'll see you guys on the next Joy Reid Show. Don't forget tomorrow night. Set your little bell notification on. Hit the bell. Hit all, and we will see you tomorrow night. Same bat time. Same bat channel. Happy anniversary to us. We love y'all and go Knicks.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Getting back to the basics, grassroots level. Let me dig a little deeper with the shovel. Plenty can't tell the forest from the trees, and I'm hard to detect, like a black hole in the dark. Injustice anywhere, it's a threat to justice everywhere. Let me make this clear, I got a bone to pick, and I'll never fear the threat of poverty. They don't want to talk about it, they rather party, so I'm a real talk about it, for sure.